Okay, I'm running a little late. I apologize for that. And we have someone connecting on right now. So I think we'll just go ahead and get started. Whether you're here live or you're on the recording, welcome. This week is all about mission, vision, values, and a structure to start manifesting a creative career, even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of lots of crazy things going. Um, Bear with me for just a second. I need to do one thing. I need to make sure that everything's plugged in. Hold on just a moment. Okay, so again, welcome to this week's workshop, a series of weekly workshops. And today we're talking about manifesting a creative career from chaos. And in order to create in chaos, we need to have structures and systems. Today, we're going to talk about creating a document, something that is really powerful and empowering and shows you who you are and what you're here to do as a creative. And this is your mission, vision, value statement. And what's really interesting about this workshop is that the signups were about half of what they normally are for the weeks, because this isn't always, you hear mission, vision, values, it's not necessarily the sexy stuff. It sounds a little bit corporate, it sounds a little bit boring, right? But I promise you, with the fall of the gatekeepers, which I've talked about before, like with YouTube and other platforms, you can put your own TV on show, there's self-publishing, on and on and on. With the fall of the gatekeepers comes the rise of the responsibility on the creative. You can't just like not have the management, not have that structure, and still have a thriving creative career. So during these workshops, there are going to be business-oriented workshops. Like I say, a thriving creative career, a sustainable, scalable creative career is based on three pillars. That is the subconscious reprogramming, and I've done a lot of that in the last three workshops. Mindset mastery, a lot of that in the last three workshops, and business knowledge. I've only touched on that. Today we are going to talk about all three of those things, but it's going to be within a more confined structure kind of thing. So if you're watching this live, if you're here on the replay, make sure that you at least have your workbook handy. Because there's going to be some things that you're filling out, and then also a paper at the end that you'll want to sign out or print out and sign on your own. Okay, so I hope you were able to do some pre-work. There's some pre-work in there, and I hope it was able to loosen some of the things that loosen your current model of the world. And let me explain this a little bit. Your current model of the world is not necessarily getting you the results that you desire. I'm going to assume that, because otherwise you would not be in a workshop about how to produce or achieve a different result, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we're always on the journey. There is no there, and a different level, a different devil. So I'm glad that you're here and glad this is of value to you, all of that good stuff. So the pre-work was designed specifically for you to look at your current model of the world that might be a little bit self-defeating. Examine some of the times that you were able to achieve things, so that you can see that you've achieved things in the past and that you can go ahead and do them again. So I think there's like a meme or a quote that floats around: in order to do things you've never done before, you have to become someone you have not been quite yet. And one of the questions in the pre-work was, where did you get your value system, right? So if you want to be an artist that is making money, and dare you say it, a prosperous, wealthy artist or creative, whatever it is, did you grow up in a value system where rich people were bad, okay, and where all artists are broke? I remember 6 years old telling my parents I want to be an artist or a musician, and they said, "Oh, honey, it's going to be really difficult to make money in that domain, and they're all on drugs and drunks." So they're telling a little 6-year-old girl that, right? So I was raised in the household where money is evil, and it was reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. And then you wake up one day and you're like, I don't I think not having money is evil because it's freaking miserable. I hate being in collections. I hate, all this stuff where you wake up one day and you're like, wait a minute. Money is simply a tool that we project our own shit onto, right? Like that's it. And they're also telling a little girl, hey, if you follow this God-given passion that you're given, you're gonna be broke and you're gonna be on heroin, like it's like in your first 7 years of living, you have no critical faculty. You're sponging up absolutely everything that everyone is giving you. And as an adult, you can logically look back and say like, well, that's not all necessarily true, but your subconscious has been programmed. And because of the reticular activating system that we talked about last week, the system that says like, what, okay, I'm going to go buy a blue car, a blue Toyota car, and all of a sudden you start noticing blue Toyota cars. Well, your subconscious is programmed to say all artists are going to be heroin addicts. All of a sudden, you're reading about Basquiat dying in his 20s because of a heroin overdose, and Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin. And it's just reinforcing it, where you're not looking at all of the other artists who have lived long, healthy lives, right? Albeit a little obscure, albeit a little renegade, but that's part of the sexiness, that's part of the grit that we all love, right? Okay, so how, and in the midst of all of this, we're in, I mean, 2021 is not proving to have any freaking chill. And I personally am sick of giving my power away to external sources, whether it's a well meaning parent who doesn't want me to become a heroin addict, or just a barrage of ridiculous news that keeps you in fear and away from your creativity. So that's what the mission, vision, values is really all about. It's not about a Nike just do it. It's about connecting with a part of yourself that wakes up every day. And if you're in fear, if you accidentally scroll first thing in the morning, or you get a notification that your payment didn't go through, or whatever it is, who are you? What are you going to connect with? And what actions are you going to take out of fear? So today, instead of doing the meditation, and another thing is, at the end of this, I want to thank whoever's watching who did the donation level tickets. I want to thank you very much. There's a portion of the proceeds that are going to an organization here in Santa Barbara County called Calm, and their mission is to help prevent and help children heal from childhood trauma. And even though I'm a life coach for artists and creatives, it's so funny. My clients come to me for business coaching, and what do? We do deep emotional healing work. And then we talk about social media. Then we talk about content and marketing, all of that good stuff. We do the deep emotional healing work. I want organizations like Calm to put me out of my job. I really do. So I'm going to be donating to them. And then also, the donation level tickets, I'm going to randomly choose a name, and you will get free access to my digital boot camp. And I'll try to mix up the prizes over the workshops, because I know a lot of people have already bought the digital boot camp, which is the Line and Shine, and it's awesome and all that good stuff. Okay, and then also, for any of you watching this who are new to my world, my name is Erin Vasquez. I'm a master certified neurolinguistic programming coach. I'm a timeline therapy coach. That's the modality that allows for the deep emotional healing. And I'm also a hypnotherapist, which supports all of that. My mission is to help artists and creatives be aligned, authentic, and abundant, whatever that means to them. I don't care if you want a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, or if you want like a Sprinter van and just like live that laptop lifestyle. I want you to live what is authentic and aligned to you, not what you think you should be doing. So that's what I'm here for. And then also, if tech gets weird, just bear with me. I'll hop right on, and then that's it. So usually we end with a meditation. Today we're going to start with a meditation. If you've been with me over the last couple of weeks, I know you have your water, so take a sip of water, and then we'll get started. Miss Kelly, if you feel like turning off your video for this, that's okay. Whatever makes you the most comfortable. I'm going to have my video on, my eyes closed in case anyone comes in late to the waiting room. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take a sip of water, kind of calm down. And just start to let the day go. Start to let the day go wherever you are. And I want you to settle into wherever you're at right now. If you want to sit down, if you want to lay down, it doesn't matter. Whatever is calling to you, you get to trust that. And that's going to be a pattern. You get to trust what's coming through you when you are showing up as a clear channel, and pure intention and just fully grounded in who you are. So what I want you to do is just take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And another breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. When you're ready, I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes, and any of those last minute fidgets that are coming up, just give them the space they need to be fidgeted out. If the hair is getting in your face or your nose itches all of a sudden, that's the ego just saying like, hey, I still want to cause drama. Just flick it off, whatever. Like just let the ego know there will be plenty of opportunities, but right now you're in charge. Your heart is in charge, and you're going to go on a little journey. And speaking of your heart, what I want you to do as you continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth is I want you to start to bring attention to your heart. Just start giving it a really soft inward gaze, inward focus, and just start noticing its rhythm. Hopefully it's nice and calm and steady right now. If it's still kind of paying attention to all of the stuff you're bringing from the day, just continue to take deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, calmly breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out, while giving yourself a soft inward gaze to your heart. I want you to really quickly just send a bunch of gratitude to your heart because it was there before you were born. You didn't have to earn it. You didn't have to prove anything to anyone. It was just given to you. And every night and every day, at every second, your heart is performing miracles. Miracles upon miracles that are keeping you alive, and you don't even have to do anything. You just have to be you. You just have to show up and drink water when you want to drink water, eat nourishing food, and your heart continues to perform these miracles, second after second after second, keeping you alive. And it's a beautiful gift that you were given, and a gift to know that you are at an unconscious level performing miracles every second of every day. You are a miracle and you perform miracles. And I want you to just let that sink in for a second while you continue that soft inward gaze toward your heart. So let that sink in. And now what I want you to do is to consider something. Right now, you get to release all fear. No isn't an option. There are no limitations. And in this realm, where you can do, say, and be anything that you want to do, say, or be. I want you to think about your ideal day. I want you to think about how you feel when you wake up, what you're looking forward to when you wake up, what's on your calendar that you can't wait to do. Where are you waking up? Is it in a Sprinter van? Is it in a beautiful home? Is it in a tent on the beach? Where are you waking up? It can be anywhere you want. This is where you live because you created it. And I want you to go through your day in your mind's eye, this day where absolutely anything is possible, where you're living your fullest expression. And what you're looking for as you go through this is that you feel aligned, you feel at peace, you feel like you are on purpose with who you are and who you are here to be. And it doesn't have to be some grandiose worldwide mission, though it could be. It certainly could be. You could have a media program or media company reaching the whole world, or you could be taking care of yourself and your family and your community, or you could be a quiet steward of your corner of the earth. What is it that you want to do? Not is it what should you do? What is it that you desire from your heart, from your purest intention? And let that drive your ideal day. What are you eating? What are you able to afford to eat? And then what are you doing? How are you spending your time? Who are you working with or not working with? I'm just going to give you a second to consider those questions. And as you go through your day, what are you noticing? What are you noticing about yourself? You've achieved this ideal. How are you showing up as a human? Are you vital? Are you taking care of your health? How are you dressing? How are you taking care of yourself? How do you make eye contact with other people? How do you stand? How do you sit? Just take a second to think about your physical presentation. Even if you're not hanging out with other people, how are you physically presenting to yourself? Just take a second to consider that. Now what I want you to do is think about, what do you believe to be true about yourself? In this reality, where there are no limits, and you've created your ideal life, painting, writing, and you're abundant, you're well taken care of, you have a roof over your head, good food, clothes on your body, maybe you have excess, maybe you're minimalist, whatever it is that you really desire from a pure state of knowing that you're enough, of knowing that you're worthy. What do you believe to be true about the world and about yourself? That you are worthy, that you are capable, that you overcome obstacles. This is important because our beliefs shape our reality. Do you believe that doors are open for you? Do you believe that people want to support you? Do you believe that the world and technology is working in your favor? for creatives, for your creativity. I just want you to notice. And if you notice things that are coming up that seem opposed to limitless possibilities, notice those things too without judgment, because those get to be things that are examined later on. And I want you to, at this point, kind of take a general survey of your life. Just really quick before we wrap this meditation up. General survey. What does life look like? What does it feel like? What do you believe to be true? What are you allowed to do for yourself during the day? And what is it that you don't have to do? Because you've created this ideal reality for yourself. What is it you don't have to do? Have you made enough money that you have some help cleaning the house or taking care of your garden? Or you don't have to sacrifice on food quality? Or you no longer have to deal with collections calls? You no longer have to go to a job that you hate? You no longer have to subscribe to a belief system that is diametrically opposed to your soul, your blueprint. I want you to notice those things as well. Because when you do create your ideal life, there are things that you are not going to have to do anymore. And whatever you need to do to bring that into your heart, like just bring a picture, like scan upon this life and take a snapshot of something that makes you feel really happy and really inspired. And once you take that snapshot, I want you to be able to see yourself in it at this point. I want you to be able to see yourself in it. So it's like you're watching a movie of yourself. Take a snapshot of it and just bring it into your heart. Bring it into your heart. Thank yourself for all of the information you just received, because everything that you do with your life begins with a vision, begins with a thought. Bring it back in, and then we are going to come back into the room whenever you are ready. Whenever you are ready. And Kelly, whatever your comfort level with the video or whatever, it is completely up to you, but I am going to move into talking a little bit more about the logical side. So again, with these workshops, I like to appeal to our subconscious, to our creativity. Hi, nice to see you again. To our creativity, to more of that right brain, and then also our left brain, because it gets to be both. And another thing that I've really seen is that we've been brainwashed into binary thought traps. So you can either be creative or you can be logical, or an artist or a scientist. There's no meeting in between. But the fact of the matter is if we open up the possibilities and understand that we can be logical and implement structure and all of those things, we open up the possibilities. The truth is in the paradox. So I'll give you just a second. Hopefully you're writing down some things that came up during the meditation. And yeah, so let me get back. What's the correct page of my notes? There we go. All right. So, as I said at the beginning of this, whether it's what's happening in the world right now as we record this on January 14th, 2021, or something else is going on, there's always going to be external sources that, if we give them the power, will distract us from creating a life that we truly, truly desire. Now, with social media and our little pocket robots and everything, the distraction is more imminent, right? And the way that we have all of the information all of the time, it's really imperative that if we are going to choose a life that we desire, if we are going to show up as who we are and who we were meant to be in this world, we cannot allow the external sources to control us. So, okay, I've talked about this, like don't drink coffee, don't scroll first thing in the morning, limit your social media. But what's something else, the next level? What is something else? You need to be able to connect with a meaning, with a compelling story about your future. And that is why your mission, vision, values is so incredibly important as a creative. I've had a lot of clients say, like, isn't that a little like corporate or whatever? But I also want you to think about the fact that as a creative, if you're going to transition from hobbyist to professional, first of all, you are in business, okay? Like, let's get over the money stuff and understand that going from hobbyist to professional, you will be making offers into the marketplace and people will say, yes, I will give you my money. So it's not an evil thing. It's just something that is pretty foreign to most creatives. And that's a really great thing. And I also want you to understand that as a creative, you are a service provider and it is valuable. It is worthy of being paid. And if you're having trouble seeing yourself in that light at this point, I want you to think back to an album, a musical album, a book, a play, a movie, an experience that just moved you so much and changed your life. I think everyone has that kind of book. I remember as a little girl when I was, like my parents were divorced and I felt so alone and it was such a strange, like ostracizing time. I found the Nancy Drew books. That was absolutely amazing. A beautiful, beautiful gift. I could get lost in these mysteries, all of these cool things. And then the teenage angst moved in, and Nine Inch Nails was able to encapsulate something that I couldn't really articulate, and it was therapeutic. That is useful. That is useful. I love Quentin Tarantino. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out either last year or the year before. And it's just, of course, I'll pay you to have this experience, this 3 hours of, a love letter to Sharon Tate in this totally bizarre, amazing, unrestrained vision of your brain, Quentin. Of course, I'll pay you for that. So, art is a service to humanity, to humanity. Tyrannical regimes have tried to silence the artists first. Why? Because it will help spark the light in people, okay? So I just wanted to say that. So your mission, vision, values, and we'll go through this. It's important because it's going to give you an intentional way of focusing on a life that serves your highest and greatest expression. Again, you have to be able to tell a compelling story about the future in order to act in the moment. All of this, like, just be in the moment kind of shit, like, it's fine and like it's okay, but your current behavior in the current moment is motivated by what you believe to be true about the future. So your mission, vision, values is telling a compelling story about the future that might inspire you to do things that you normally don't do, to put yourself out there in a way that feels really uncomfortable, to start taking care of your body, mind, and spirit, okay? It provides clarity. Mission, vision, values provides clarity, which helps reduce chaos and confusion. The clarity being like, what is it? Who am I? What am I here to do? Am I here to fight on Facebook? If that's your mission, vision, values, okay, that's fine. But like, probably not. I don't think my people are here to fight on Facebook. All right. It provides a direction and a roadmap to come back to in case you get lost or off track. I have become more and more disciplined over the last couple of months, and I still have days where I have to come back to my mission, vision, values and really lock into it, because there are distractions, because life happens. Like, I think I'm getting into my scheduled structure, and life is going to be one way, and then my husband's teleworking, or I realize my son doesn't have school on Monday, and like meetings move and blah 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 blah, all this stuff. So it throws things off a little bit, but I can come back to my roadmap and it's absolutely amazing. Okay. um and it gives you something to focus on that is internally sourced from you and who you are, internally sourced, okay? I'm not saying, last week, I told you I'm not an advocate for sticking your head in the sand and ignoring everything that's going on around you. However, if your reality is being 100% externally sourced, then your motivation is going to be externally sourced. You are a grown up, and this is the time in history to stand up and say, this is what I'm standing for myself. In the midst of chaos, that's why I call it like manifesting a creative career from chaos. In the midst of chaos is the time to get grounded and say, all right, things around me might be falling apart, systems and structures might be shifting and reevaluating themselves. So, this is how I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm giving myself permission. I'm not asking someone else to sign the permission slip. And with the fall of the gatekeepers, I get to choose myself. I highly recommend that book by James Altucher. Choose Yourself by James Altucher. Okay. Highly recommend it. Choose yourself. Now is the time to choose yourself. And then the fifth one, and excuse my French, this is a reminder of who the fuck you are and what the fuck you were put on this planet to do. It was not to do things that you think you should do. And all respect to all the wonderful mothers and fathers out there and all the people who try to shape our paths and everything. We cannot live lives to make them happy. We can't do it. We can't subscribe to modalities or ideologies that are diametrically opposed to what we hold to be true. There's all this stuff out there right now about the truth, the truth, the truth. And again, it's a pressure to be externally source your truth. And yes, there's facts and things like that, but it's completely gaslighting your own inner truth. And I feel like school has been doing that. All sorts of things have been doing that since, I'm almost 40, and it's like, I feel like I've been gaslighted my whole life, where I knew things to be true and people are like, oh, well, you're wrong. And if you behave to that, then you're not cooperating or you don't behave well and you're going to fail and you'll never get into college and you'll, be out on the street in no time. And that's total horseshit. And that's, that's how I feel about it. Okay, so that's why the mission, vision, values is really important. It's a reminder of who the fuck you are. Okay, so what is it? Let's get down to the details. What is it? Your mission is a declarative statement about what you are here to do with your life. Now, I want to drill down in the context of what my mission is, and it's all about creative careers, right? So, everything we talk about today, we're going to do in the domain of your ideal creative career. But I want you to know you can translate this into your love life, into your health, into your friendships, into your relationships with your families. So, your mission as a professional creative might look different than your mission as a loving spouse or partner, okay? In fact, I don't know if it would be. It's like there's certain intimacies that happen in one domain and not the other. So it's appropriate, but you can use all of these tools in the different domains. And yeah, okay, so enough about that. I think that's pretty clear. So my mission, as I share with you guys, is to help artists and creatives live a life that is aligned, authentic, and abundant, whatever that means to them. Nice and simple. It doesn't have to go on beyond that. So, what are you here to do? And I want you to remember, take the pressure off yourself. Any shoulding on yourself, it's okay if you are automatically shoulding on yourself, but notice it and come back to this and shed the should, shed it, get it off of you. So if you feel like you should have some grandiose plan, but that's diametrically opposed to what your inner truth is, go ahead and shed that should at some point. If you feel like you should live a modest life of piety when you really, or piety, whatever, when you really want a grandiose, beautiful, opulent life, shed that should. This is about your truth, okay? This is all about your truth. Okay, what's a vision? Your vision is how your mission is going to impact the world, your life, and how things are going to be at an individual and collective level. So if we look at my mission as an example, it really folds into my vision of the world where creatives are empowered and allowed to be abundant and well provided for and valid in society, and do what they need to do and find ways to up their skill and be provided for, so that people are not living lives riddled with depression, addiction, anxiety, these things that are, I understand there's chemical imbalances and I don't want to discount that whatsoever, but these are also symptoms of abandoning who you are at your core. When I released depression and anxiety after 20 fucking years of having it, and it got dark on a couple of waves there, it was because I stepped into who I was here to be, and it was scary. It was scary, and it is so much better than living the way I was living. That's what I can say. And then your values, what they are. Your values are the criteria for determining how you will or will not think, behave, or act. Okay. And that will have a direct impact on your feelings. So, values are things like integrity, wealth, connection, creativity, charity, community. And again, I want you to check the shoulds as we go through an exercise here in a moment. Okay. Um, Values also help me and my clients determine what they are and are not available for. So one of my top values is peace. Okay. And I understand that outside of my home, there's a lot of things I can't really control. But if there is a guest in my house that violates that peace, they are invited to leave, basically. Or and that goes to social media, that goes to all sorts of things. The social media is invited to not be as big a part of my life, right? And that's an addiction that they have programmed into us. And it's one of those things where we get to release that and examine that and modify our own behaviors around it. So you'll see in your workbook, if you have your workbook, that there is a mission template. And I'll give you a second here to just kind of like write it down. I'm going to go through mission and vision templates pretty quickly, because the values elicitation is going to take a couple more minutes. Mission template, I name, am here to, what is it? And again, it gets to be simple. And as you're doing this, I do invite you to trust your unconscious mind, meaning that little voice inside your head, that little gut feeling, and let it come up. Know that this gets to be a living, breathing document, that your mission might change and modify, and that gets to be okay. The most important thing is that it lights you up, that it awakens some kind of like lion energy inside of you. I didn't expect to say that, but that's what came to me. The mission should awaken some kind of lion energy inside of you. So I'll just give you one more minute here. I will stop yapping. Okay. Moving on to the vision. And again, these templates are in your workbook. And let me make sure, because I wrote this down and then I might have done it differently in the workbook. Well, let me write it. I'll just read it from my notes. Okay. So the vision template, I did it at an individual and a collective level. Because at the collective level, I want you to explore how, as an artist, as a creative, by acting on your mission, you impact other people. So maybe you want a life of solitude as a writer, but knowing that maybe there's a little girl somewhere out there who's feeling really ostracized and scared and sad because her parents got divorced. She's going to pick up a book and be able to be transferred to a totally different world. Okay. So the vision template, by taking action and fulfilling my mission, I will be able to blank. And this is really important. So that, always think about so the result. So for me, I will be able to at an individual level, I will be able to be of service to the creatives, the people that I absolutely love, so that I am able to live a life at the intersection of my own values and contribute to my family financially and mentally, because doing what I love allows me to show up in a really beautiful way, as opposed to my corporate days when I would just go out to happy hour and drink myself silly and wake up, wash, rinse, repeat. So at an individual level, by taking action and fulfilling my mission, I will be able to blank, so that blank. And then again, at a collective level, by taking action and fulfilling my mission, others will be able to blank, so that they can blank. So going back to the Nancy Drew, they will be able to escape into a different world so that they can enjoy, I don't know, just enjoy an escape, enjoy an alternate reality, be inspired, be given peace, whatever it is. And of course, you can't control how other people receive your art and your creations and everything, but this is a thought exercise that should light up something inside of you. So I'll give you one more second to write about that. One more minute. I think I just got, oh, no. Okay. Now, values. I want you to trust your unconscious mind of what comes up, that little voice that comes up. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here. What must be present in and again, we're going to say this specifically in your dream career, in your creative career. What must be present in the domain of your creative career that you are creating a win-win-win for all people, win-win-win situations? And another way of saying that, so that you're completely fulfilled. All right. And I want you to just kind of like free write. It could be freedom, wealth, connection, independence, whatever it is. I'm just going to shut up and trust what comes up. Let it be what it is. Trust it. And I'm going to give you one full minute here. Wrap this up in a second and come back to this. This is not a just one and done exercise. I'm just giving you guys the tools. Come back to it. And notice, well, let me say this after the next part of this. I'm going to keep it moving because of course the day that I'm late is the day that I have like meetings lined up. Okay. So what you want to do, given that all of those values are present, everything that you just named for the what would fulfill you and create win-win-win situations, what are the deal breakers? So all things present, like what are the deal breakers? Be a bad business partner, someone having creative control. What would it be? For me, a lot of it is around the ideal clients. I'm no longer available for clients who who are not the right fit, who are not like the soulmate level fit. That's a big one for me. So obviously that opens the door of like, what does that mean for me, right? So what are the deal breakers? And I'll give you a second here. Okay. And you want to come back to those too. Now, a couple of things about values. Um, I would ask you to come back to those, especially the ones like the positive values, the toward values. That's what you would call like the things that you want to go toward: freedom, creativity, connection, whatever it was for you, right? And then list it out, list it out, list it out. And then in kind of like a flow state, again, connected with your unconscious mind, start picking the top 10, right? Because you can't, you you know, I want to say you can have it all, but you know, if you have like 30 values on there and you're saying like it has to be all of these things, that might be a little bit difficult. So you want to pick the top 10 and then you want to rank those. It's important to identify these because both the toward and away. So the deal breakers are the away values, and I should have put this in the workbook. I apologize. The away values, the value of values is that it allows you to make decisions. So if you're sitting there and you're wondering, and your number one value is creativity, all right? And you know what creativity means to you. It's going to mean something different to absolutely everyone. And you are having to make a decision in the moment as to whether or not you should take a gig, take a job, do this, do that. I understand that we have to do certain things to pay the bills before we get our career in full bloom and everything, but let's just roll with me here. If it does not meet your criteria, your value of creativity, there's your answer. It removes all the drama and bullshit around decision making. It removes all of that, like calling the friends and outsourcing your knowledge and calling the psychic and consulting the astrology charts, all of that shit that admittedly I love to do, absolutely. But again, I am going to be a huge advocate this year of sovereignty and you being the source of your own inner truth. All right. So when you get clear on your values, again, this is not an exercise that you go through in 2 minutes. We do here because we're not like at an all day seminar. This is not something to be taken lightly. You go ahead, you come back to this, you see what feels right, you see what doesn't feel right. And if you are still, how you know that it's in alignment is, are you producing the results that you want in your life? And maybe it's not going to change overnight, but you'll know in your stomach and your heart or whatever your inner compass is, you'll know if you're moving toward the right direction, making the right moves that you want to make toward. And again, with the away values too, if the for me, like say like after I had my son and business was a little bit low and it was tempting to take on a non-soulmate client, and wealth was in my toward values, but all of that being present, what is the deal breaker? The deal breaker is that it's not a soulmate client, whatever that, you know, however I define that. Then it takes out the drama. I don't take on that client because that is the deal breaker. I know that the cost is too high to compromise my work and my integrity just to get a couple of bucks in the bank, right? Okay. So go back to that. It's very, very, very important. Values are amazing. And if you get aligned with your values and you start making decisions from them, it's one of those things where it you'll piss some people off, but it doesn't matter. And this goes with boundaries work too. This also goes with inner child healing. All right. um it's and if if you have any codependency or whatever, you have to start looking at that. All right. It's time to take a stand and look at your mission. Do these values tie in with your mission? If they don't, is there something off in your mission, or is there something off in your values? Is there a should somewhere in one of those two or both? You'll know when things aren't congruent, and it's okay if things aren't congruent. It just means you get to examine something and see what's going on. Okay. So that's values, that's mission, vision, values. Now, I want to talk about states of resourcefulness and states of unresourcefulness. So you have your mission, vision, values. Hopefully, if you're in my group or on my page, I pop in at least once a week and say the only three things you can control are your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own emotions. Your mission, vision, values should be sparking thoughts, should be strong enough thoughts that create empowering emotions. So empowering states of being. If we wake up and scroll on our phone first thing in the morning and Facebook is just like, blah, like we're going to have thoughts that are associated with blah, and then we're going to have emotions that are fear-based, control-based, and then we're at the control of all of that for the rest of the day unless we notice it consciously and decide to switch into a state of resourcefulness. So I want you guys to notice what have been the go-to states of disempowerment or unresourcefulness. Tony Robbins ran an intervention on me for depression, and he uncovered the secondary gain for depression really effing fast. And what was happening was that I was using depression as a state. And again, I don't want to diminish chemical imbalances and biology and everything. I'm just speaking an experience that I had. But as soon as he showed me that I was using depression as an emotional home and also as a tool to get my needs met in ways that it just wasn't a good way anymore, it was like, oh, I went to my hotel that night and I've never taken an antidepressant again. I don't recommend that. I'm not here for medical advice. Consult your doctor, all of that crap. Okay. So it was a disempowered state that was a pattern. It was a part of my identity. It was a part of the way that I did things. So looking at your disempowered states, maybe it's not nearly as extreme as what I'm talking about there, but get honest, be able to look at the ugly corners of the mirror compassionately and know that it's okay. It's not your fault. And making those changes all starts with the noticing. And then I want you to start thinking about empowered states, like moods and emotions that make you feel really, really lit up. And hopefully you'll start to notice as you refine and hone into and really connect with your mission, vision, and values statement, that those are thoughts. They create thoughts that create emotions that put you in an empowered state. So that could be curiosity, that could be joy, that could be passion, that could be playfulness, that could be forgiveness, that could be all kinds of things, and start making patterns around getting into those states. Why is this important? This is important because when you start making changes in your life, when you start committing to breaking patterns, when you start doing things that most people aren't going to understand and that are not necessarily easy, you're going to run into obstacles, both externally and internally. You change your internal state, you connect with your mission, your vision, and your values, you create a state of joy, determination, even anger can be a positive state. Someone said something to me a couple of months ago and I was like, F you, I'm going to show you a little bit of something, I know I'm like the spiritual success coach and everything, but it was just one of those days where I was like, thank you. You just gave me a little so using different internal states to create different actions. Again, our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own actions. So you run into an obstacle or you put something out there and there's no response whatsoever. Like that's going to be an internal obstacle of the moods. Okay, what about curiosity? What about compassion? What about the joy of going back to the drawing board and being able to create again, or reevaluating your mission, vision, values? Like what can you do, or what TED Talk can you watch? What YouTube series can you watch? What little online workshop can you watch? Right? Like things like that. You're going to need it, because I wish I could sit here and say, all of these workshops I do, if you just do everything that I say, everything's going to be super easy all the time. No, I'm giving you tools to go out to your own workshop and figure some things out, right? I see this with my husband with his woodworking all the time. He has the plans, he has the tools, and then he'll come in after 5 hours and there's just like this long speech about 5 million things that he didn't anticipate. But he's really good. He gets on YouTube, he reads stuff, and he figures it out. And sometimes it's really annoying for him, but like he still does it. So anyway, resourceful and unresourceful states. At the end, after you go through and write your mission, vision, values, I want you to go through and write that oath to yourself. Make an oath to yourself in 2021 that means something to you. This is your signed permission slip with your signature, because you're a grown up now and you get to make the decisions. I invite you to no longer make decisions based on whatever dumpster fire is happening in the external world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what, who's in power, who's not in power, all of these things. It doesn't matter. Come back to who you are. Be informed, but come back to who you are. Give yourself the permission and know that that circus is going to be going on externally all the time. It is. It's not going anywhere. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to tap into the fear? Are you going to let that control what you're doing? 2021, we're seeing shifts in structures. We're seeing a lot of questions happening. The chaos is a fertile ground for creation if we're able to come back to our heart and who we are. And your mission, vision, values are here for that. Look at your resourceful and unresourceful states. Next week, I'm going to do something on self-sabotage. I did a workshop on that about 6 months ago, and it seemed to be quite popular. And what I'm going to do right now, all right, I did a random, I'm going to show you guys. I'll show you my screen. Let's see. Well, never mind. I have like 5 million. Here we go. The Brave browser, share this. Okay, this was a random winner picker, and congratulations to Wendy. She is going to get free access to Align and Shine, my digital boot camp. I will go ahead and do a giveaway next week as well. And just remember, in order to enter those giveaways, can make a donation. I don't care if it's 50 cents or $50. I don't care. And then also a portion of proceeds is going to Calm here in Santa Barbara County, which is their mission is to help people or help prevent child trauma and heal childhood trauma. And if you're watching this and you got value from this, I would really appreciate a review or a recommendation on Facebook. I'll be sending out an email, so check your spam. There will be a link for the review. I'm happy to do this for free. And if you're able to get value and really value it, I would love a review on Facebook so other people can know what's up. I really have a vision of making this a weekly thing. And hopefully we can convince people that the less sexy business structure stuff really is to serve the higher good and the higher freedom. So If you were here on the replay, thank you. And Kelly, thank you so much for being here live. I really appreciate it. And the replay, well, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions, comments, concerns? I have a couple minutes before I have to go to my next one. I can unmute you.
Did you do that artwork behind you?
No, I didn't. My husband is in the military, and that is a piece from, I want to say Afghanistan. So he was very smart. He deployed a couple times while we were dating, and he sent me beautiful gifts like that while he was gone.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes.
I love having that focal point when you're talking
Uh,
to kind of tune in and tune out too. It's kind of neat.
oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, it's so I love that you mentioned Facebook because I just got on it this year. And of course, there's a lot of good that can be had of it. But because I'm a newbie to it, I haven't learned how to regulate myself with it yet.
Wow.
And I definitely think it's one of those things, especially in the morning, that's when you're setting the tone of
Yes.
everything. And so I think it is, and of course it's a knee-jerk thing. How has everybody reacted to my posts? Who's on? Is anybody meeting up for sledding or whatever? And so I will use hey, this might guide my schedule later as justification to check in on it. But really, all those people I could just text instead, or there's other ways, and I have to find them. And I think I really need to. I have meditations on my phone. I think that's a good cushion for me, so that I'm not programmed by what I have to scroll through. Like, at least if I can meditate first, I can separate. Do you have any thoughts on, like, how to schedule? When is the best time you're on social media? How do you work that into your life without, I mean, do you say, hey, I'm only going to do an hour, or, I mean, because sometimes I have a lot I want to put on there, but how do you work that into your schedule? Is it a set thing every day? What is it? How do you do it?
So I think, first of all, one of the things that I want to speak to is something that you said, which is there is a lot of good on Facebook. A lot of the people that have been coming to these workshops, I've never met in person, and I wouldn't know if it weren't for social media. And that is an incredible blessing. So, social media, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't want to just like completely brush it off. But the thing is, and I brought this up last week, you want to notice the emotions as they're happening. So I've been looking at this, especially in the last 7 months, that my scrolling was getting out of control, and it was literally affecting my life like an addiction would, where I couldn't like be present for my husband or my child because I had just crammed fear down my gullet. And then I just, walk in from my office and just on this like really sharp wavelength. So that's another thing I would say, is that if social media is working for you, if it's producing the emotions that allow you to take the actions that produce the result that you want in your life, then keep doing it. But for me, I've had to look at it because it was it handicapped me in a really profound way. So I'm experimenting with a couple of different things, especially, like with the fall of the gatekeepers, as I said. And if you're wanting to build a creative career, you have to use social media. You have to do it. So there's a couple of things that I've done. I noticed, and this could be controversial or not, I started unfollowing people, not unfriending people, but people whose ideologies that I share, but they were still showing up in a way that was alarmist and like caused something in me, ideologies that I don't share. And I'm not against ideologies that are not mine. It's just the alarmist. So I unfollowed people, and I'm not apologizing for that. It's kind of like the
Mhm.
values elicitation. If my top value is peace, and you're not there. And at first I had a little bit guilt of like, oh, is it bad? Am I just like, am I putting myself in an echo chamber? Am I being rude? Am
Yes.
I disconnected? No, with my values, knowing that one of my top 10 values and maybe top 3 values is inner peace. No, I'm unfollowing you. So that's another thing that I've done, right? And I continue to do. Um, and, and, that's one thing. I do not, I keep my phone on airplane mode from 8 p.m. to probably 9 a.m. And if my son isn't at school, like he's only at school part time, if I'm having a day with him, I sometimes don't take my phone off of airplane mode until about 10:30, 11, because I want to be fully grounded and present with him. If he's at school, I'm obviously more career oriented during those days, and social media is part of growing my career and growing my business. So there's a set schedule there. Another thing I'm working on, I found this dinosaur, this little iPhone 4. I am working on transferring social media apps only onto this and taking it off of my Big Mac Daddy here. All right. So it's
Oh,
not going to have Verizon service. It's only going to be able to attach through Wi-Fi, and this baby is not going anywhere with me. So what I am going to keep on my phone are podcasts and Spotify, so I can play songs for my son in the car. And that's it. That's it. And I expect to go through a pretty heavy withdrawal, you know? Um,
hmm
but that is what I'm doing. Because looking at my value system, having all of that all of the time, and yes, I do value connection. That's great. Um, but it's no longer serving me. Another thing that I'm doing is right now I'm in a trial offer for a social media scheduler. So I schedule out my social media for my business pages and my Instagram ahead of time, a couple of days ahead of time. And you'll see different business coaches say different things about this. Some coaches will be like, schedule out for a month ahead of time. And since I'm like so obsessed with energy and everything, I still want to have like an energetic attachment to what's posted as opposed to like just forgetting it and like being on automation. Like, even though I don't want to be run like I I want to be able to detach at the end of the day. I still want to be present through my posts, if that makes sense. Like that's just a personal philosophy. That's a personal filter. Reject, adopt it, whatever. It doesn't matter. Um, but the scheduler helps, and those are the things that I do. And I think another thing that I want to take it a step further is remove my phone from the bedroom. Um, it's ridiculous. Both, you know, I've been good about that mostly, and then there's some nights where I just kind of backslide. And this is why I want to talk about self sabotage next week, because even with me,
okay.
with all my tools and all my training, sometimes it's like I found myself watching The Bachelor on Hulu on my phone the other night, and it's just like, what worse shit can I put in my head like right before I go to bed, right? Because when
Programming.
exactly, programming for drama, for chaos, for disempowerment, right? Like, and
Yeah.
I'm not against a good guilty pleasure. I'm not. I enjoy I enjoy unplugging and not being attached to anything. Um I'm not against that, but something about watching it on my phone in bed right before going to bed. Um, our unconscious mind is programming and filtering and problem solving if we give it the proper sleep. Excuse me. So those are just kind of the things that I look at. I can't
Yeah.
give it a hard and fast system because it seems to be fluid, but this is going to be a game changer.
I
Um,
like that idea because, you're saying removing the phone from the bedroom. Well, that's my alarm. Well, I do have another thing I can use as my alarm. It takes longer to set it, but I do have something else I can use as my alarm. Well, then I use it as my meditation because my Audible is on my phone. So I
mhm,
use it as my so I'm like, well, I want it in the room because I'm going to meditate, but
mhm.
I don't always. And then but I like you that you have I'm wondering if I could do that with one of my old phones where I can just use that with to meditate with or just for music
Yeah.
and then just have that because I have books by my bed. I could
Yes.
read. I
Yeah.
mean, there's other forms of entertainment other than YouTube. And
Yes.
yes, I know you can learn from YouTube. Do I use it to learn all the time? No.
No. No.
It's that tricky slope because there's all these apps and media that you can use for good or bad. So
Mhm,
just having accessibility to it
mhm.
is a trigger sometimes. And then, so I think I really like what you said with using your emotions as a guide. Well, how is this
Yeah.
making me feel? Is this
Yeah.
making me feel like I'm connecting to someone that can help me on my journey?
Yes.
I love, love, love that you said echo chamber because I know so many people that are in one and I don't want to be in one, but
Yeah.
yet I'm out there every day. I'm not sheltered. I'm got essential jobs. I'm out there every day exposing myself to other perspectives. And even if they're negative, they can still be something that something positive comes from. I got into this huge, huge long debate on Monday that could have been viewed as negative, but then it just kind of opened me up to other questioning of stuff that I probably wouldn't have thought to question otherwise. So that's why I don't want to be in an echo chambers
Sure.
because of something. And then I ended up writing all this poetry from it. So, which is, yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be up until 4 a.m. because that's when the muses hit. Dang it.
Yeah.
Um, but at least I was up till 4 a.m. writing poetry and not scrolling through something. It was because I had all these conversations, real conversations on the phone, you know, and sharing things in real time with people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that was real.
Yes.
And so even though it wasn't aligned with my beliefs, it was aligned with something I value, which is question everything, so sometimes you get to that point in a circular way, you
Well,
know.
in ways that we don't necessarily anticipate, and like you said, you value questioning everything. So it might be important for you to really curate your news feed to not be in an echo chamber. But for me, with
Yeah.
my value of inner peace, I had to silence some people that were diametrically opposed to that, and I used the emotion as a guide.
Yeah.
We
I will start to
yeah,
feel defeated. And that's what I think that's what I gotta like. I will start to feel overwhelmed, defeated. I'll have something I want to say, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to say it, or I want to say something else. And then it's like, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and things are not coming out clearly, it's creating chaos in my head.
yeah,
And and I do love that you said, from chaos to fertile ground for creativity. But I have to it is, I'm going to just pay attention to emotion because it gets to the point where I'm so overwhelmed that I start feeling lethargic. And instead of it motivating, it goes from motivating to overwhelming
yes,
really quickly,
yes.
like really
Start
quickly.
noticing that. Start
And
noticing
that's when I
what's
got to cut it
happening.
off.
Start noticing when that's happening. Start creating the conditions in which you can still be inspired and not be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
you know, and of course, if you're having discussions with other people, you can't control what they do, but understanding your own personal boundary and what it is and lovingly hold it for yourself. Just
Yeah.
start, you know, so much of the work that I do with people is saying, just notice compassionately. That's one thing
Yeah.
I do. When I was like in a spin cycle of anxiety, I would judge it, judge it, judge it, judge it, instead of being like, oh, I feel anxious. I went like, what am I doing right now? Oh, I was just on Facebook for 5 hours. Like maybe I should go drink some water and get out in nature, you know? Like, and no, I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. I can't figure out what to do. Xanax, 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 you know, like it just wasn't like compassion is okay, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I before I was even on Facebook, my younger sister, she would text me, "Oh my gosh, I'm in a fight with so and so," or
Yeah,
something just made me mad, or something this or that. And she wouldn't even say who it was or what it was about. But immediately I would say, "Does this have anything to do with something you've seen or done on Facebook?"
yeah, yeah,
100% of the time, it was Facebook
yeah,
or another social media, Twitter, Snapchat. She does Snapchat.
yeah.
And I'm like, so, but usually it was Facebook. So, and I asked this of her, and I need to start asking it of myself.
Fair.
Why are you upset? Is this from Facebook?
Yeah.
Because it won't even have anything to do with what is personally going on in my life.
Hey,
And I don't need to take on the weight of the world.
no. I'm seeing people who are thriving, or maybe they're, of course, we're all human and having experiences, but they are choosing their mission every day. And when I
Yeah.
was able to kind of break the cycle of fear that I got into last year, and again, I'm saying that compassionately about myself, it was because I was like, no, 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 wait a minute. What am I doing? What am I doing? You know, and who am I? I am not someone who is going to get sick watching Facebook every day or whatever it is. Insert your widget for whatever. And
Right.
so all the things that upset us, this is a whole different workshop. The things that upset us, it really is a mirror of like something, you know, they say perception is projection. The whatever triggers us is showing us something inside of us that
Yes.
like a fear. So like, you know, use politics as a widget. I don't want to get into political detail, but you're that person is bad. Well, what are the quality, like what is that bringing up in you? What do you need to resolve? Like what, like a lot of fear comes up with people. All of that stuff is like bring it back to you, bring it back to you. And that work is so confronting at first and is so difficult at first. And I understand why people just like put it back out and say that person is bad, that idea is bad, the situation is bad, and instead of going inside and looking at what's really going on. This mission vision values work, it takes courage, it takes confronting what is no longer working for you, it takes that
Mm.
boundary work, which also takes courage, and it takes, this sounds extreme, but a death of the current self to be reborn into the person who will champion that over all of the excuses, all of the shitty habits, all of the old patterns and reasons, and all of that stuff, right? And I'm not saying this from a pedestal of I'm so perfect. I told you I was watching Bachelor on my fucking phone in the bedroom the other night, you know, like, gross. Like, so so if I had connected with my mission powerfully before making that decision, I would have made decisions that helped me sleep well, really well, so I could get into REM and have that be a part of my life, right? Because I woke up all
Yeah.
weird in the middle of the night. No, you know, like it's just,
Yeah.
and
The
I
sleep is not good. The
like
dreams are not
study
good.
the subconscious mind. My domain of expertise is the subconscious mind. I know exactly what the fuck that's doing to me right before I go to bed. So it's, and I'm not saying this to beat myself up either. It's again, it's the noticing and going back. But yeah.
Have you ever done heard or read Carolyn Mace stuff? with energy anatomy?
No.
She's awesome.
How do you spell the last name?
So it's MYSS. And a lot of what you just said with this isn't serving you anymore, you know, these motions, or analyzing what isn't serving and where the hell did you get this, and having to break from your tribe, and there has to be a death, there has to be you breaking from the tribe. Sometimes it's a betrayal to get you to do that, sometimes there's a death of a part of you to do that. But a lot of what she says with things that are not serving you, she uses the term extra, as I think it's extramunction.
Okay.
So she refers to a lot of, it's interesting because she refers to parallels in different teachings and different religions. So she was raised, I want to say she was raised Jewish, but she knows the Catholic, or maybe she was raised Catholic, but she knows the Jewish. Anyway, as she talks about these sacred rites and stuff like that, we crave the sacred. Sometimes we need the sacred so that we can get over the passing of something, or have the right motivation and energy into going into the next phase of our life. But we have to acknowledge these changes in our life, and we have to do it in a sacred way that is meaningful for us. We gloss over all of these, you know, milestones in our lives, and we don't take time to recognize it, to let go of old emotions, to embrace new emotions, all of it. But extramunction, and that's a word I've been meditating on. What is no longer serving us? Extramunction.
Good.
So she's really good.
Well, I'll have to check it out because it sounds pretty in line. But hey, like, thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank
hanging
you.
out a little bit. I need to go freshen up before my next meeting. And
All right. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
next week, self-sabotage and how not to do it.
We're all so good at it.
I know.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.